Bonjour, mes amis. Today I'm going to talk about how I passed GED tests math with the score 174. I'm going to share with you some channels for preparation that I used by myself, and within the help of these channels and these sources that I'm going to provide you with, you will get some general understanding of what the GED test is itself, also have some useful information for the preparation and for passing the test with a good score. The first thing that I want to talk about today is what is it better to know before starting your preparations. So you can go on the website GED.com, which is the official site of the GED test, and get some general information from there. But some useful information that you can get from there, you'll find the length of the GED math test, which is 1 hour and 52 minutes. The test consists of 2 parts, with and without a calculator, that it has 4 topics: basic math, geometry, basic algebra, and graphs and functions. And also the price of the test. So for me, it was $80, but it differs from region to region. So you have to watch what is the exact price for your region. Depends on whether you are in the US, which would probably cost you less than if you are international student, because I was taking this test outside of the US in Vietnam. And some more information that you can find useful in this test are study guides and practice tests, which are very accurate in the format and with the questions that they have on the actual test. It's really important to actually stick with the concept and the format of this test right from the beginning with the preparations, because you'll meet a lot of different sources, a lot of different channels and practice tests that would require you to answer on some questions that are actually way harder than on the actual test or way easier than on the actual test. So you have to keep it in mind. And the GED.com is the official website, is the best way to actually provide yourself with the understanding of what the test is like and what kind of questions you may meet there. Of course, there would be no similar questions with those on the practice tests, but it would be helpful to understand what actually you need to study in what way. And a few more things that you may find useful on this website are math formula sheet and calculator tutorial. And we'll talk about these two later. Second thing that I want to provide you with today is a study guide. So I myself use the GED Math study guide by Matrix, which is very useful if you forgot everything about math itself, if you're not familiar with the concept of math, or if you had a chance to actually practice your math skills for a pretty long time, you would be more familiar with what is the math in school again. And one more reason why you might find this video useful is if you are an international student and English is not your first language, it will be very helpful for you to watch this video to be familiar with the math concepts in English language. For example, you may know what are fractions, decimals, even or odd numbers, irregular and regular numbers, but in English it probably sounds different from your native language, and you might be confused on what kind of thing they ask you to do in the question, because they use these words that are specifically to math, to English language. So don't forget that math test is not just about numbers. Of course, in the major part, it is about math. But if you don't know the majority of math terms, probably it will be way harder for you to pass the test. So I highly recommend you to just watch this video even once without taking any notes if you don't wish so, and just try to not to remember, because you don't need to remember anything while watching, but just to understand what kind of words they use in math in English. And of course you can make notes while you're watching this video, but keep in mind that you don't need to remember anything, because on the math test, there are no questions like what does decimal mean or something like that. So it's better if you will be familiar with these words, if you will understand what is the decimal and what's the difference between the decimal and the whole number. But again, they would not ask you to give the explanation of what is the decimal, what is the factor or something like that. The third thing for today is starting your preparations, and here are a few channels that I highly recommend you to watch. So first one is Test Prep Champions, and probably this is one of the most popular channels on the YouTube for the GED test. It has step-by-step explanations, which are very helpful for people who just started this way of the preparation for the GED math test. But you have to keep in mind that some of the tasks are some of the questions are substantially easier than on the actual test. And also that sometimes the format of the questions that are there does not accurately represent and reflect this format that is on the actual test. So again, one thing to remind you that I said in the beginning of this video is you better stick with the concept of the test, because GED test is a test. You have a questions and options of answers. You have only 1 or 2 questions, as I remember, that require you to just fill in the blank line your answer, but these are 1 or 2 questions. Again, this is not the majority of them. The second channel is purely persistent, GED and HiSet. I did not use this channel for math a lot, but what I noted from there is it has very slow step-by-step explanations, which is very useful again when you're just starting your preparations, but the format is not accurate most of the time. For example, they give you 5 answer options instead of 4. On the test, there are 4 answer options. Also on this channel, you might find a very informative video, a breakdown for the math formula sheet. It will show you what kind of formulas are there and how to use them, understand them, which is very helpful instrument on the actual test. If you want to get a higher score, you better be very, very familiar with all of these formulas. So it's very important to know that you don't need to memorize them. So the next goes Ultimate Algebra. And again, I did not use this channel a lot, but this channel is more accurate with the format. It has a lot of practice video. I think this channel has more practices than any other channel on the YouTube. But sometimes it lacks explanations, which is might be very confusing from time to time. And also some questions are a bit harder or a bit easier than on the actual tests. But in general, I recommend you to take a look on this channel. Next one is one of my favorite channels on the YouTube ever, is the Organic Chemistry Tutor. It has amazing explanations. It has breakdowns for any topic in math that you want, but practice questions that the person gives you are way harder than on the actual test, which may be very, very confusing. But if you want to get some general understanding of the topic of math, you want to understand how to actually solve this or that issue or problem in the math, it will be very, very helpful to watch this channel, because this is one of the very informative sources on the YouTube for the math. For example, on the test, you have questions for the slope formula a lot. And if you want to genuinely understand how to use the slope formula and how did they get this formula, you can watch this channel and it will explain you just everything. The next channel is Get Some Math, which I 100% recommend you to watch. The format is 100% accurate. The questions are very, very similar to those that you will get on the actual test. This channel has a lot of practice questions. It also has its own website with more practice questions. The person also gives you some very useful tips and tricks for this or that questions, and just gives you some kind of general understanding what do they want from you in this or that particular task. And also one more informative video that you can find there is a calculator tutorial with the practice questions with the calculator. So you basically, if you want to get a higher score, it will be better for you if you get to know how to use the calculator, because it will save you a lot of time on the test, and will also allow you to double check yourself on the test. If you doubt on your solutions, you may use the calculator, which is pretty easy. It's not that hard. I was given the online version of it, and actually my performance excessively depended on my knowledge of how to use this calculator, and I'm pretty happy that I used it. And the last one is a Khan Academy. I just love this channel because it uses very simple language and you can understand everything easily. Amazing explanations with examples. Also, this channel gives you extensive understanding of the issue of the topic. So we slowly come to the fourth part of this video, which are personal advices. And first advice that I want to give you is be familiar with the concept. Learn how to solve questions specifically for the GED. You may find a lot of video like on the Organic Chemistry Tutor channel that will be way harder, or some questions on the internet, some practice questions. And I highly recommend you to just take a look on the GED website and take a look on what kind of practice questions they give you, because these are 100% accurate with the format. If possible, try to genuinely understand how you came to this or that solutions. Check out different explanations, because this way you will feel more confident on the test than if you just know one way to solve this or that issue. I don't say that it's mandatory, but it will definitely help you to just feel yourself comfortable, which is very important. One more thing to note is that your score excessively depends on your performance on the actual date, on the actual test day. If you perform badly on the test day, it does not matter how long you practice. It is very, very important to stick to the concept. The next advice is learn to use calculator and the math formula sheet. These are your friends, your best friends for the test, and you better get a friendly relationships with them. Also, don't memorize anything if it's not an algorithm of actions. I know that in some countries they use Celsius, as in in country where I was born, but in the US they use Fahrenheit as a temperature unit, and Fahrenheit would be on the test. And I don't remember if I get any questions with the temperature units, but again, you don't need to memorize any formulas. Just get the general understanding, practice some questions. If you wish so, you may memorize it, but it's not necessary, it's not mandatory, and it would not help you at all. One more thing to just keep in mind is don't stress out. If you don't catch something, just give it a time. One more thing that I also wrote down to get you know is, if you don't understand some questions after a long time of trying, open YouTube and watch how other people solve it. It would be very helpful to just see the process of solving the question. Maybe this way your brain will start getting to the point of the issue and will give you some hints on how they came to this or that answer. Sometimes you just need to look how others do it and copy it. I used Get Some Math before the actual test without even trying to solve the issues, the questions that was given to me on the practice video, or being familiar with the questions, the types of questions that may appear on the test and that will appear on the test. And also my brain was just stuck with the algorithm of actions that the person used for solving this or that issue. And just a few more things. Remember that this is a test where you have answer options. Practice and time yourself. It will be very helpful because the test is time limited. So take a look on those resources that I gave you today, and if you have some questions, you can go and ask me in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching this video. I'll make the same breakdowns for the rest of the subject of the GED, which are reasoning for language arts, social studies, and sciences. Stick with me, subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next video. Bye bye! And also, I want to wish you best of luck on your preparation way. You've got this.